No Kulture.
Guess we moved and run through this much. So you guys have seen our intro. It shouldn't.
And we love culture.
But so our channel is about helping grow by documenting experiences on YouTube. But
The last couple of months, we changed how we want to do our van life channel. We've gone on the route of financial, personal finance, or van life.
yeah, we decided to change how we basically provide value. So we're essentially a van life channel that documents Black van life experiences. But with that came sharing good experiences.
And you know, for over the last 3 years, we've had good experience, like both that good and bad. We've had several police encounters where we've had a dreaded knock, we've been treated like criminals, we've been handcuffed, we've been detained. It's been crazy.
So we have a fair number of participants here. We wanted to ask you guys if you could let us know if you guys have experience what the experience was.
Have anybody ever had any experience with the police?
No?
No one?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. You want to share your experience? Yeah.
Well, I have a funny looking vehicle. It's an all black truck, and I get police officers to come knocking on my door all the time, but they usually leave me alone. They don't really do anything weird, but I do I get freaked out about it a lot.
Yeah. We've got a pretty interesting experience too with the security guard when we were in Arizona. Yeah.
And then we had two police experiences when we were in living in LA too.
Yeah.
So
we've had the knock, we've been pulled over before. Thank God it was only like once, but it was still pretty interesting.
Yeah, it's pretty nerve-wracking.
Twice.
Yeah.
Cool. So
yeah, I would definitely say our experiences was a little bit like horrifying. I didn't like any experience that we've had with police.
yeah, it's never been pleasant, and that's kind of the opposite of how it's supposed to go.
Mm-hmm.
So we once heard a quote saying, "Fear comes from the lack of knowledge, and the best remedy for fear then is to gain this knowledge." And that is why we're here. So let's get into it.
Mm-hmm. So we wanted to say that we find that it's very important to know your laws, know your rights, and know yourself. When you get pulled over, what type of person are you? Do you like pop off at the mouth? Are you respectful? Are you stern? Are you calm and collective? Like, it comes with knowing yourself so that you can like battle this conflict that's going on that you may feel that's going on.
Mm-hmm. And there we're going to start off with explaining the three types of police encounters that you may have. Mm-hmm. The first is the consensual encounter. It involves police officers approaching a person and the officer starting a conversation.
We got dogs here.
Come on. Excuse the Rottweiler. Maybe we should hold some Rottweilers in our vans. The mailman's here. So let's back to the consensual encounter. The first is consensual encounter. It involves when a police officer is approaching a person and the officer starts a conversation. It's most of the time it's pretty cordial. And in our case, there's no sirens, there's no force, commands, or lights. That's common in many traffic stops.
Mm-hmm. The crime is not a condition for consensual encounters to happen. The officer probably will ask questions. The driver has the right to remain silent. The driver has the right to remain silent, but you also can deny the officer to identify yourself, inform the officer to ask questions.
Oh, that baby sounds cute.
I know.
That baby sounds cute.
Make sure, yeah, but let's make sure to mute our mics, everyone, so that we don't pick up any background noise. Okay.
Okay, so you are okay. Yeah. So it's also the individual in a consensual encounter has the right to deny seizure and search. If the officers deny the individual or the driver the chance to leave, it ceases to be a consensual encounter and turns into an investigative detention.
Right, and the best way to find out if you're in a consensual encounter is basically just to ask the officer, "Are you free to go? Or are you being detained?" And that has happened to me many times where I didn't ask the proper questions of, "Am I being detained?" And I was actually, or "I'm free to go."
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty advertised. I wouldn't say advertised, but I think there's a public awareness that you can ask the officers if you're free to go or if you're being detained. But it's something that it goes flying out of your mind when you see the red and blue lights flashing in your rearview mirror. So secondly, sorry about that. Secondly, we have investigative detention.
Right.
It's usually the second level of police interaction. A common investigative detention is getting pulled over. We know it as a Terry stop, and it has emerged as a Supreme Court statute.
Mm-hmm. And the law states that the police may briefly and lawfully detain a person they reasonably suspect to engage in a criminal activity. Reasonable suspicion is the key word here. They can, stop you.
Yeah, it violates the law if an officer applies investigative detention with a lack of reasonable suspicion of involvement of a crime. I mean, it's simple, right? Mm-hmm. The officer would in turn be violating our Fourth Amendment rights. All right. I'll put this dog up. I'll put him up.
Individuals in an investigative stop do not have the freedom to move or walk away or refuse to identify themselves. The only right available to you is to remain silent. Mm-hmm. You can remain silent if there's not a lawyer present or if you don't want to answer the question. That's the best solution. Just don't answer any questions.
Yeah. So if they pull you out, which I've been pulled out, they frisk me. Right, and if when conducting a frisk, the officer may identify something as contraband or something, and they'll pull it out of your pocket. If they do so and it is something that you're not supposed to have, they will then do a full search of you and your vehicle because they haven't established probable cause.
Mm-hmm. Some states have laws that require you to identify yourselves, and some states don't require you to identify yourself. So we're going to take a look at this video that we thought that was really good, and it tells you what to do in these situations when stopped and frisked.
Tell me if you guys hear this. No, you don't hear it. Has anybody seen the Flex Your Right series? Not me.
Okay. Yeah, I haven't seen it. I mean, I thought I heard something coming through.
No, that's muted.
All right.
We got too much going on over here. The slide is covering. The bar is covering the play button. It's covering the play button. 100%.
Don't sign anything without a lawyer, and don't rely on the police to explain what it says. Read it for yourself. Usually, the only document that's safe to sign is a promise to appear in court.
What if police come up to me just asking for ID?
Hey, hold up, man. Let me see your ID.
Carrying an ID is required when you're driving, but there's otherwise no law requiring you to carry an ID. But in some states, police can require you to give your name if they have reasonable suspicion to believe you're involved in criminal activity.
How do you know if police have reasonable suspicion?
Remember, police need reasonable suspicion to detain you. So one way to tell if they have reasonable suspicion is to ask if you're free to go.
Hey, hold up, man. Let me see your ID.
Excuse me, officer. Are you detaining me or am I free to go?
Just want to talk to you, man. What's your name?
Are you detaining me or am I free to go?
I'm not detaining you, man, but
I promise I'm clean.
what's your
Don't
rush,
got time
man?
to chat. Gotta go. What if they don't let me go?
Then you're being detained because the officer thinks there's some reason to suspect you of a crime.
Let's see some ID.
Excuse me, officer. Are you detaining me or am I free to go?
Turn around, put your hands up on the wall.
In that situation, you could be arrested if you refuse to reveal your identity. Technically, police can't make you identify yourself anytime they want. But on the street, withholding your identity frequently leads to a detention or even an arrest. If your goal is to just get the encounter over with, then identifying yourself might be your best option. But if you're prepared to fight things out in court, you can flex your rights by refusing to cooperate with random ID requests.
You say those police broke the rules, searching me like that? What am I supposed to do? Call the cops on them?
Listen, fighting back against police misconduct is never easy, but it gets easier if you know your rights and if you act appropriately.
What do I do? File a complaint? Does anyone read those?
Oh yeah, they read them for sure. There are lots of bad cops who are off the streets because they get too many complaints. Cases of severe police misconduct can result in major lawsuits that change the way the police behave. I know that because I filed my share of them successfully.
Oh, I think you guys' mic might be muted. We can't hear you on this side. Oh yeah, it is muted, yeah. I had to wait for the little bar to go down.
I don't know how we ended up
There
doing
you go. There you go.
Okay. So, if the arrest, let's talk about this. So we talked about consensual encounters. We talked about investigative detention, and now it's the arrest. So that's a third type of encounter you can have with police. The arrest is the third and final level of a police encounter. An arrest is made by physical restraint or an authoritative denial of freedom of movement to a person by the officer.
Mm-hmm. To make an arrest, there needs to be identifiable probable cause. Without the likely cause, the officer cannot make a lawful arrest. So without identifying probable cause, the officer is making an illegal arrest and violating your rights.
So we know about probable cause, but it is very important. Probable cause is a legal standard that an officer is required to have in order to be able to arrest a person, conduct research on a person or property, or obtain an arrest warrant.
Mm-hmm. Evidence or facts should be distinguished for probable cause, for a reasonable suspicion. There are a few instances when an officer may arrest without a warrant. The officer may also know of an arrest warrant issue for a specific individual, and that is still active.
So when being arrested, the individual should not resist, because we know that all that happens is you get an additional resisting arrest charge, right, even if you never really had a suspected offense. At this time, we should remember your Fifth Amendment right, just as the judge from Flex Your Right says, remain silent.
So we would say one essential practice to know is to remain calm throughout the process and not to escalate the situation. So we're going to take another look at a really great video from Flex Your Rights.
Yeah.
That also talks about.
So we're going to go through a traffic stop traffic stop scenario. And here is what I should tell my wife Paris, because you guys haven't been with us when we experienced our traffic stops. But
Yeah. These videos were really important for me back when I was
Get you off my road. That cop profiled me. It's ridiculous. I go to school. I'm not a gun trafficker.
I know exactly how you feel, man. That's why we're here. It's certainly possible you were profiled, but it's practically impossible to prove that. You never know for sure what's going on in an officer's head.
so
Can you hear now? Yep, it's unmuted.
but if it's playing through,
Get you off my road. That cop profiled me. It's ridiculous. I go to school. I'm not a gun trafficker.
I know exactly how you feel, man. That's why we're here. It's certainly possible you were profiled, but it's practically impossible to prove that. You never know for sure what's going on in an officer's head. I hate to say it, but from what I hear, it sounds like you broke the first rule of dealing with the police. Always be calm and cool.
Hold up, are you saying that he deserved to get treated like that?
No, what I'm saying is the police encounter is absolutely the worst time and place to vent your frustrations about police. Getting stopped by police is always frustrating and scary, but you could have played it much smarter by being calm and cool. As soon as you opened your mouth, you failed the attitude test.
License and registration? Yeah, I know the drill, man.
Your attitude only got worse.
Whatever, man.
Don't ever talk back. Don't ever raise your voice. Don't ever use profanity with a police officer. Being hostile with police is stupid and dangerous. You can't win that game on the street where they're the king. Police have a dangerous job. Even the most professional officers might become aggressive if they feel threatened or if their authority is challenged. Always control your words, the tone of your voice, and your body language. If you're visibly scared and angry, it's easy for an officer to get scared and angry too. Things could have turned out way worse than they did.
Now! On your stomach! On your stomach!
Can you think of a better way you could have greeted that officer?
Good evening, officer. How's it going?
That's better. Calm and cool.
Hold on. What's all this polite talk? They don't respect us, so why should we respect them?
For real.
This isn't just about respect, it's about common sense. If you don't check your ego at the door, and you let it take control of you during a police encounter, you'll regret it every time.
wise words. All right, let's get back to the presentation. I don't know. Okay, there we go. All right, so let's take a detour. The detour here is going to be on what our rights actually are. All right, so we do generally have 3 rights that they all kind of fall under. That's constitutional rights, human rights, and civil rights. So they're the relevant rights that we have here. And there could be a lot of overlap between them. It's important to understand that. It's important to understand what rights we have so that we can defend them in a police interaction.
Mm-hmm. The constitutional rights is basically relevant to police interactions. The First Amendment, which gives citizens freedom of speech and expression. And the Fifth Amendment is, remain silent, provide the citizens the right to remain silent.
Mm-hmm. We got some really, let me see some hands if you guys understand the Bill of Rights, the Fifth Amendment, the First Amendment, the Fourth Amendment, and the Sixth Amendment, because we're going to cover all of those briefly in this presentation.
It's very sad, but I have no clue.
I'm looking at everybody. I don't see any hands. Okay. All right. So let's go take a look. Lost the mouse at the Fifth and Sixth Amendments.
Mm-hmm.
The Fifth Amendment states that no person shall be compelled in any criminal case to be a witness against himself, nor be deprived of life, liberty, or property without due process of law. During a police encounter, the smartest way to take the Fifth is just to keep your mouth shut, because you always have the right to remain silent. We'll talk in a minute about how this works. In all criminal prosecutions, the accused shall enjoy the right to have the assistance of counsel for his defense. So if the police interrogate or arrest you, asking for a lawyer is a good way to assert your right to remain silent.
Lawyer up.
That's right. Regardless of what you have seen on TV, police don't usually have to read you your rights, even if you're arrested. So it's up to you to make sure that you understand the law and make smart choices.
All right, so do you guys understand what the Fifth and Sixth Amendment is in its relation to traffic stops?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. So here, the biggest constitutional right violated by police officers is the Fourth Amendment.
Mm-hmm.
The right of the people to be secure in their persons, houses, papers, and effects against unreasonable searches.
Mm-hmm.
This one is going to be some more education for you guys.
Following the rules doesn't guarantee that the police will respect your rights, but they can keep you from digging yourself into a deeper hole. Let's talk about what your rights are in the first place. This is the Bill of Rights. These are the first 10 amendments that were added to the U.S. Constitution after it was ratified in 1789. These rights are protected under federal law, which means everything we're talking about today applies in all 50 states. There are 3 amendments in particular that protect your rights during police encounters. The Fourth Amendment states that the right of the people to be secure in their persons, houses, papers, and effects against unreasonable searches and seizures shall not be violated. The Fifth Amendment states that no person shall be compelled in any criminal case to be a witness against himself, nor be deprived of life, liberty, or property without due process of law. During a police encounter, the smartest way to take the Fifth is just to keep your mouth shut, because you always have the right to remain silent.
They say 3 times and you really get it. You really get it after 3.
So we're going to play a scenario. Say, for instance, what if you got stopped in the traffic and the officer is tripping? They anal about stopping you and saying that you did something wrong. So you'll be surprised that it's not your right to receive a sergeant present, but you can request a sergeant to come to the scene in case you feel like this situation is not going the way you want it to go. However, they don't have to come necessarily.
Yeah, it's even doubtful that they even take your side when they come, because they're on the same team. Now, an exception is if there was obviously gross error in the procedure from the officer. And what helps with that is proof, either audio proof or visual proof. We'll get onto dash cams at a later point in this presentation. Like Paris said, if stuff isn't still taken care of, you can file a complaint. And there's multiple times we'll talk about filing a complaint in this presentation.
Yeah, and such avenues when filing an internal complaint to the police department, criminal complaints against the officers, or civil lawsuits. We'll also cover that more later in this presentation. So we'll hear from another Flex Your Rights on gathering information to file a complaint against the police officer.
Yeah, we could have used this. It's a little old, it's a little outdated, but we, with all of our experiences, could have used this video series from Flex Your Rights. And who knows, we would have been able to maybe file suits, pursue litigation, etc. And it's very simple and clear. So hit your YouTube app and type Flex Your Rights, and you'll be able to watch all of this, because we just have little clips from the whole series.
You say those police broke the rules searching me like that? What am I supposed to do? Call the cops on them?
Listen, fighting back against police misconduct is never easy, but it gets easier if you know your rights and if you act appropriately.
What do I do? File a complaint? Does anyone read those?
Oh yeah, they read them for sure. There are lots of bad cops who are off the streets because they get too many complaints. Cases of severe police misconduct can result in major lawsuits that change the way the police behave. I know that because I filed my share of them successfully. Here's what you need to know about reporting police misconduct. During the encounter, pay close attention to details. Remember the order of events. Remember as much as you can about the officers. What did they look like? What were their names? What were their badge numbers? Although you should never ask them for their badge number. That means to them you're about to make a complaint, and boy, does it get bad for you if they know that. So never tell them you're going to make a complaint against them. Remember the exact words that the officer says.
Where's the dope?
I ain't got nothing.
Come on, man, give it up.
As soon as you can, get everybody together who saw or heard anything about the incident. Sit down with them together. Listen to their recollections. Use whatever device you can to collect your thoughts. The longer you wait, the less you will remember.
There's a black cop and a white cop.
Put him on the car.
And try to find other witnesses if you can. You'll need this evidence later.
Reaching in the bag, man.
If you were injured during a police incident, make sure somebody photographs you at your worst as soon as possible. Make copies of any relevant hospital records. If you're thinking about responding to a police misconduct incident, visit flexyourrights.org to learn more about your options. Don't be discouraged just because you've heard about police abusing their power and getting away with it. Now that you know your rights, you've got more power to demand accountability.
All right.
Now, I've totally messed up on two of these times, on two incidents that we had. One time, well, every time we have an encounter with a cop, I tell the cop, give me your badge number and your name because I'm going to file a complaint. And after watching all the series and learning as much as I can before this seminar, I realized that was the worst thing to do. Ask for the police officer's ID, badge number, saying I'm gonna file a complaint, and I've also told the police officer, hey, I want a sergeant on the scene right now. So I definitely had some errors that's been corrected for further police encounters.
Absolutely. Now, for van lifers specifically, people with precious cargo, which is their whole life, their livelihood in the van, you don't want them to search it for any reason. Obviously, we chose this lifestyle. We just want to go on with that lifestyle, and there is a right way and a wrong way to refuse search, because they're always going to search unless you're just getting a speeding ticket or whatever. we've been asked to for searches, and it's kind of hard to deny, you know.
Although I do deny.
Yeah, Paris was denying. It would have been great if we had some better video, but we were in a laundromat, chilling, doing laundry, and some police pull up out of nowhere, as you probably know from looking on Instagram, and they order me out of the car. She's in the back watching a movie, meanwhile. So I had to tell her, hey, come up front. There's a bunch of police here. And they're trying to get Paris to allow them to give them permission to search the vehicle. And she is not giving them permission to search the vehicle. They're trying to intimidate her. They're trying to scare her by thinking, by getting her to think that I was going to be arrested. They brought me over to the police car, etc. So there's a couple ways we could have gone about it, but even them, this video that you're about to watch, it would not have prevented them in our situation, because apparently somebody had called the police on us, even though we were just doing laundry, and then said that we were missing license plates and that we were in the process of kidnapping someone.
Right.
So they came, guns out, blazing, cars and sirens at night at the laundromat while we're chilling. So here's just refusing police searches, because you never want to be searched.
Right. How to do it properly, how to refuse a search properly.
Darren, do you see any ways you could have handled yourself better?
Good evening, officer. How's it going?
Did you know you were swerving between lanes?
No, officer.
Let me see your license and registration.
Sure. My license. Here's my registration.
Now, Darren, we've had some problems with gangs moving guns down this highway. You're not packing any Tech 9s, are you?
No, sir.
I didn't think so. So you don't mind if I take a look, do you?
Officer, I know you're just doing your job. I don't have any guns or whatever, but I don't consent to searches.
Perfect. Rule number 3. You have the right to refuse searches. This comes directly from the 4th Amendment. For your 4th Amendment protection to legally apply, you must be prepared to clearly state your refusal under pressure. Everyone repeat after me. I don't consent to searches.
I don't consent to searches.
The officers can't hear you, so say it again.
I don't consent to searches.
One more time.
I don't consent to searches.
You a law student or something? So if I show that I know the rules, he might think I'm a law student. Or maybe I got big legal connections.
Perhaps. But don't get carried away by saying stuff like,
I know my rights, get out of my face. I'ma sue you.
Never tell the officer you know your rights. Show the officer you know your rights by asserting them calmly.
You seem nervous. Is there anything in this car I need to know about?
No, officer.
It's entertaining and educational. Okay. So, no, refuse those searches. So not on the presentation. Okay. So, police have a list of laws that they use to claim their support in a traffic stop. One of the most referred to justifications is suspicion. Officers have the right to make a pullover search if they feel that you're suspicious. And people with vans are easily suspicious. They can easily be justified as being suspicious.
The officer definitely must provide you with the necessary conditions of either a search warrant, probable cause, or driver's consent to search the vehicle. And again, if you don't want to be searched, I don't consent to searches and seizures.
Yeah, there was a good, if you guys watch other van life channels, this gentleman, his name is Paul Barger, or Paul Berger, he has a bread truck, and he has his dash cam and recorded him not consenting to the search, but then doing the most, calling the dogs and all of that. They didn't find anything, and he caught it on tape. But it may work for you, it may not. But it's just the reality of driving on the road and then being suspected of having some contraband.
Mm-hmm.
So you've maintained your Fourth and Fifth Amendment rights. Although illegal, the results are you standing outside of your rig with your hands behind your back. In there. And they subsequently ask you to step out of the vehicle. And that is definitely a scary experience. You never know what's going to happen. It's like the movie Queen and Slim. Have you guys seen the movie Queen and Slim? So when we look over here, there's just we're looking at you guys over there. You guys seen Queen and Slim? So Queen, he's a young black man like myself.
Mm-hmm.
Or sorry, Queen is a
Queen is a woman.
Queen is a young black woman like herself, and Slim is the young man, and they're driving the car. And basically, they get pulled out of a car, and this is like almost the beginning of the movie. The climax. He shoots the officer because he's threatening to do. He is violating their rights, basically.
Mm-hmm.
So he ends up taking his matters into his own hands and charging the officer, taking the gun and killing him. Now he's a wanted man, and he has to run away. So, I mean, that may seem a little dramatic, but death by cop is not very unfamiliar for black men. According to Frank Edwards in the American Journal of Public Health, it's noted that the risk of death from police homicide is highest in black men, followed by Latino and white men.
Mm-hmm. So one of the likely reasons why the police may make the traffic stop based on racial bias is the association of crime with race. And we have a map on here where it shows that blacks are 2 times more likely than whites to be killed by police. So we're just saying the objective when police encounters is, I should hope everyone would say, to get out alive and to be safe after the arrest. I mean, after the encounter.
Yeah, ever since Jim Crow era, the black race has been associated with criminal activities. The perceptions have significantly been engraved in society's minds, such that a black person is considered guilty even before being proven innocent.
And there has also been research done by the Prison Policy Initiative conducted that half of the Hispanics or black stops on the road were for illegitimate reasons.
Yeah, so the proof is in the numbers. Most black traffic stops are illegal. Some people are violent and some are successful at deterring such violations. For us, the objective, like Paris said, when dealing with cops is always to live. But in our scenario, we are arrested and booked in. Uh-oh, what now?
Right.
So in a traffic stop that turns into an arrest, your van, your RV, or your house is going to the impound. During booking, you get the famous one phone call, and then you're placed in the back in your cell awaiting posted bail or the judge's orders to get released.
Yeah. And earlier we mentioned that we'll get back to filing a complaint about police wrongdoing. And so there is another video that we have where you should gather as much information as you can to file this complaint.
However, we already went over that in the other video. That was supposed to be separated. There was a mishap there. But we know, see if there were any witnesses and meet with them. Remember everything that you can with your phone, record it like you're a journalist. This cop, badge number if I saw it, name if I saw it, kind of car if I saw it, all information, because when you make that call to an attorney, if you want to get it done that way or file a complaint, you'll have this information. Because one time, if you guys know, we were driving in Nevada, some guy, not a guy, police officer, threw a cone through our window. And we wanted to get, we wanted to get this settled. We was like, hey, what's going on? Why'd you throw a cone through our window? He didn't want to talk to me. The other cop didn't want to talk to me. And then when they were done with their scene, they left, and 2 random cops came and was asking us, oh, you got dash cam footage, and do you have, proof and all of this stuff? And, that sucks for us because we didn't have a dash cam. We wrote a voluntary complaint, and we just left it at that because we were broke as a joke at the time. We were on our last money, and we just wanted to get to San Francisco so that we could start school. We didn't want to stir any drama in this random small town in the middle of Nevada. So we just took off. But if we had the tools and the knowledge and the understanding of handling that situation, we could have pursued litigation or got somebody fired or whatever.
So in civil suits, the civilian may hire lawyers to represent their cases in court. Most civil suits seek money charges, and most of them end up in settlement. However, history has indicated that it's quite challenging to convict police officers of misconduct. But for our instance in Nevada, the police officer did get some disciplinary actions done against him. They didn't really say what it was, but they did lay him off for some time, which was a success for us. So it was good.
It was all right.
Yeah, that was good. That was good.
Punch him in the nose because it was on Paris's side. It was, the big van windshield, and there was I wish we should put a picture in there, but we're just kind of going from our experiences. There was the windshield was destroyed, and we were in the middle of nowhere. So we put some Velcro strips up, and that held us. Glass was just falling all the way from Nevada to San Francisco, and we had to immediately use our last $50 to go to the shop to get it replaced. But that was ridiculous. So we already know about pursuing a complaint, and we know how important dash cams can be. It has helped us with insurance claims, but not really when we need it the most. We covered a lot here. There's much more to cover. But we want to conclude the workshop by talking about the importance of dash cams. So how many of us are currently van lifers in this workshop?
We're like mostly van life, currently staying at parents' house.
Same thing for us.
Full-time van life right now.
That is groceries, putting them in the refrigerator. So we understand the parent situation. So how many of us have dash cams? Do you guys have any dash cams?
Yeah. We do not currently have a dash cam.
Dash cam? Well, we talked about the window smashing event. We talked about being pulled out of the car, handcuffed. And we talked about most of the experiences where we could have actually done something about it.
Right.
And it's great, but our word against the police officer's word, it's not very good in holding up in court. So you can't have your phone camera recording for secondary video and audio of the interaction, but a dedicated dash cam, particularly one that records outside the windshield and inside the windshield of your rig, and can put you and your livelihood in good care.
And also a GoPro will be a great use of camera too, because they have those suctions where you can put it on top of your hood of your car. So GoPros can work. Also, we've used the iPhones plenty of times. I whip out that camera as much as I can. And officers have told me, like, hey, turn off the camera. And I'm like, why? You got your camera on, so why are you telling me to turn off mine? I'm really big on going back and forth.
But for us, if it escalates to now, it's best in your interest to put the phone down. Now you lose video. So having that dash cam really will help put yourself in a position of authority when it comes to talking to the courts or talking to an attorney, because the attorney might say, hey, I don't think you have a case here, and that's going to suck because you just had your rights violated. So Let's cover your rights when it comes to recording the police, because we wanted to end it there. This video by Diana Aisman, she's a criminal defense attorney, and this video specifically is fairly recent. We'd like to thank you for your time, and we're going to head straight into discussion after this video. I want you to ask all the questions that you can, because we wish we could have put more into this, but we didn't. So.
Dashcam, make that investment. It will save you.
Will likely save you.
It will likely save you.
What are you gonna screw me over for this time?
Good day, sir. Is your license and registration, please?
Just a moment, officer. I'm gonna record this.
Here you go. Could you turn the camera off, please?
Oh, hell no. Last time you guys pulled me over, you violated my rights. I know my rights. I'm not letting that happen again.
So you want to play this?
It's always a good idea to videotape your interactions with police officers. It helps to protect your rights, and it helps to give an accurate depiction of how the interaction played out. It should also keep both you and the police officer on your best behavior. That being said, there's no reason to escalate a situation by having a bad attitude. Let's see what the right way is to approach this.
How you doing today, sir? License and registration, please.
I'm reaching for my registration now.
Thank you.
I also want to inform you that I am recording this.
Thank you. Could you turn the camera off, please?
Officer, I have the right to record you in a public place while you're on duty.
I need you to turn off the camera.
I intend to preserve my right to record. It's for my safety and yours, officer.
Let's sit tight.
Okay, funny business this time.
Being polite but assertive is the right way to handle this situation. There's no need to be rude to the officer, but you need to make it clear that you are recording and that you intend to continue recording. If the officer asks you to turn off the recording, politely decline and continue recording. It is for your safety and theirs.
All right, listen, I'm not going to issue a citation, but you need to use your signals whenever you're changing lanes, okay? Just be a little more careful out there, all right? All right, have a good day.
If you've ever been in a situation like this, or you've heard of someone being in a situation like this, or if you have questions about this particular situation, feel free to leave it in the comments below and we'll definitely respond.
That was a good video.
Yeah.
And the officer didn't have a body cam, so that is definitely an important reason to record with your iPhone or whatever you have to record with.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. It's just if we could say, what are some of the main takeaways we would say?
I would say the main takeaway is to always remain calm, collected, and assert your rights, but also ask questions. Don't just let things happen, because even if you don't answer, say for instance, if they say, let me fritz you, and you don't answer and you just allow them to fritz you, that's still giving them permission. Even if you say, if you don't say, don't search my car, and you just allow them to search it, that's still giving them permission. So I would say just assert your stand on things, and then from there, just still obey what they're telling you to do, because you don't want to get in an altercation with a cop, like physical.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anytime you touch a police officer, they're going to take you down. And nobody has time for that.
Right.
But like the lady said, calmly but respectively. At the beginning of this presentation, we said, who are you? What is your natural responses to things? Some people pop off. Some people, they feel that stress and they pop off. And that, those individuals end up on the ground with them saying stop resisting, even though you're not really resisting. They're just breaking your arm, or something like that.
I'm a pop-off person, so I'm controlling my temper when I'm dealing with cops. It's always a learning process every time I deal with a cop incident. And we've had like 4 or 5 already. And every single incident, I learned something that I should have done better this time or that time, or it just gets better over time.
So, do you guys have any questions? I know you guys have questions, so let's hear the questions.
Yeah.
So we have about 7 to 10 minutes for questions. So yeah, just give you guys an update. Well, I have some questions, but I want someone to ask theirs first.
Yeah, because I'm waiting. I know you got some questions. I know you got some questions.
I don't have any questions. I think this is a lot of really good information, though. Thank you, guys.
Oh, yeah, it is.
Yeah, this was really, really, really good. I was fully entrenched. I learned so much.
Cool. Archangel, what are your questions?
All right.
I have a question. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, I'm clear.
So as far as the search van, so I'm a licensed gun owner and I have a permit to carry and everything. And I know that when cops pull you over, it pops up.
Yeah,
I know that they might say, well, we want to search your van. Can I still, I could just still say, I refuse for you to search and, just refuse it. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. This is something I'm really concerned about because I'm even thinking about just, not even carrying, but it's still going to pop up on my record when cops pull me over and they run my license. Am I going to have a problem? What do I do?
Well, if you're licensed, then part of your license is the obligation to disclose to the officer that you are carrying. So when they do ask for your driver's license and you give them your driver's license, your permit to go with that. But everything else is the same. If they suspect you of committing a crime, is there any type of, how's your, what's in your van? Because plastic bags, anything that they want to use as justification, they'll use it to search. But if you're licensed to carry, then there shouldn't be any problem unless you have broken any laws. A traffic stop is generally misdemeanors, but not felonies. So your status as a CCW holder shouldn't endanger you anymore. But as we know, most traffic stops on Black people were for illegitimate reasons or illegal. So it's kind of just being you, doing what you're going to do, and that's protect yourself. You're worried about protecting yourself against non-cops, because of course, if you end up in a standoff with a police officer, it's it's kind of tough there. But
yeah,
burglar, somebody who is trying to cause danger to you, then you have the liberator in your safe or whatever, and you can get it out and take care of that. So I wouldn't let it deter you from carrying. We would like to carry, but we're thoroughly deterred from the amount of engagements that we've had with police. But still, another thing, because we're not RVers, so we don't have an.
Oh, you're in an RV?
No, I'm in a van.
Oh, okay.
RVers, it's a little bit different for RVers, but vans, technically, we're not supposed to be living in the van. So who knows? In this state or this city, they might confiscate your weapon. Or they might.
Oh, sorry. Jesus. Sorry.
Oh,
You're okay.
I had a question, but my husband interrupted. Keep going. We will ask the question after you guys are done talking. We apologize.
Okay.
That was in there.
That was the end of my answer.
There was a really good video I saw where this guy, the police officer, came to his car and had said, "Hey, you have a gun," and I think he was an ex-law enforcer or something like that, officer, and he literally kept telling him, "I'm not going to grab for my gun. You can grab for my gun, but I'm not going to reach and grab my gun." So I've never had a gun in the car, but I would say allow the officer to grab the gun if he wants to see the gun. I wouldn't say grab for the gun.
Yeah, I remember it.
Yeah.
If you're on Instagram, you probably saw it because it was popular for a little bit. Ex-law enforcement officer, you can just hear the Jim Crow in the officer's voice. And that could be scary when it's like out of a movie. This is happening to you. Now, what do you want to do about it? Well, being calm and collected, figuring what you know your rights are, and following the orders of the police officer as long as they don't.
Yeah, that's the answer.
Get you killed, basically.
Yeah.
They tell you to get out of the car, generally you have to get out of the car. And if they want to do that, then that's when you start accounting for what's going on, what was said, what was requested, and hopefully you have a Dashcam that's recording outside the door. We want to see when we're in court and we got the thing on the TV, we want to see the police officer's face and what they're saying and what we say, what they order us to do. That's going to help you.
Okay, all right, we have time for about one more question.
All right, so we have a motorhome and we wanted to know, like, what are the different rules that apply when you get pulled over for having like an RV instead of a van?
What do you mean rules when you get pulled over?
Like you guys just mentioned something about being like a gun owner, like a licensed gun owner, and the rules would be a little different if you had an RV. What are the different rules?
Well, you say the rules is because you can legally drive around and travel in your RV. Nobody could say, "Oh, are you only living in this for 3 months to try van life out?" No, that's your RV. It's a common thing to have. So when I say van, is in many cities they've made it difficult. It's not illegal to live in your van. It is cities put up ordinances and states put regulations to limit where it can happen and what you do. So you basically can't move around while following the city ordinance and stuff in the van. But if you're traveling and you live in an RV and you have a concealed carry license, then as long as it's in the ammunition is here and the gun is there and locked in separate places. Same thing as if you were in a car, a boat, or anything. I'm a licensed gun holder. Here's my CCW. Here's my license. Here's my registration. Other than that, there wouldn't be any differences that I'm aware of.
So you're saying people that live in vans get targeted more than someone that would live in an RV because it's more common for people to live in RVs than their vans?
I wouldn't say common for people to live in their RVs, but you can travel any vehicle. It's just the suspicion, especially if you have an old RV or an old van. There's a negative stigma and suspicion. So if you're armed in there, then they're definitely going to want to search. I've seen people, RVers, this stuff all, being searched through and them sitting on the curb and all kinds of stuff. But
sounds like a nightmare.
Yeah, a nightmare. But you still have the right to refuse them, and then you can definitely use that if you're not breaking it. Because if you're breaking a city ordinance or you're breaking a regulation and they violate your rights, then they're going to side with the officer because you are at the edge of society.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. That was an amazing segment of information. So I just want to give a huge thank you to Lovell and Paris. Every time I interact with y'all, it's always love. It's always, I always leave feeling better than when I got there. So I just want to give a huge thank you to you all support and you all just being such a big part of this project. I just want to thank everybody for coming. I know everybody on this call definitely feels more comfortable and confident when it comes to encountering police and other forms of law enforcement. So yeah, I just want to give you guys, again, another huge thank you. If you are also going to be at the Making Money on the Road workshop, that is going to take place at 3:30. So yeah, I hope to see some of you guys for the next workshop. And yeah, if you guys have any questions, you can just email the info at Black Nomads Meet or email Lovell in Paris. And yeah, so.
Thank you guys. We appreciate y'all's support.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. So, all right. Thank you guys. See you later.
Thank you.